Hurry, Skeletor, hurry!
I am hurrying, I'm hurrying!
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 14. I am your host, TFG1Mike, and joining me for the first time in The Pull Bag is Adas Baron. Hello.
Hi!
Ugh. Since when did you have a sex change operation?
Oh, I don't know. It goes in and out. Ha!
Now you sound like a bad 80s Joker.
Ooh.
The one from the cartoon.
From the, was it the Legends of the Dark Knight one?
No. The, whatever the one that's in Batman the Brave and the Bold.
The Jeff Bennett?
Yeah, well, no, not... Yeah, but, like, that style of voice, like that...
That one?
Yeah, because they're... Batman Brave and the Bold are taking that from, what is it, the 60s or 50s? I don't know. They're taking it... Like, Batman the Brave and the Bold is a love letter to the old Silver Age stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like, holy crap. So we're here to talk about comics. Where did you start with comics? Did someone in your family, did your dad or did your uncle or did somebody get you into comics, or did you just say, hey mom, look at this, it's cool, I want it?
I didn't get like head over heels into comics until about 2005. Before that, all of my comic knowledge was based on all of the Marvel cartoons and Batman and Superman from the 90s.
Yeah.
Pretty much it was the Spider-Man one that compelled me to buy some books. I didn't buy a lot. It was more like, hey, I know he's a comic book character, but he's toys, and I'm all about toys. So I went out and bought all the toys, and it wasn't until about 2005 when I started going to the Art Institute with a bunch of other comic book nerds. It's like, you know what, maybe it's about time I get into this, and it hasn't stopped since.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, I've long since appreciated comics, but at the time, I'm like you. 3-4 years ago, I was heavy into toys, and then due to financial reasons, I had to basically sell my entire collection that I had, and due to other reasons, from a certain online retailer that shall remain collectorless, I just said, screw it. And we are explicit on this show. I have always, the entire Geekcast Radio Network is explicit. We do try to kind of curb it every now and then, but there are times when you need a good, damn or hell or a couple of F-bombs. So if you feel the need, don't worry about it. I don't bleep anything out. Because I podcast for me. I podcast for people my age. I don't podcast for kids. So, yeah, this whole family-friendly thing, it works for some people. It doesn't work for me. But yeah, no, I was like... I've always respected comics. I've always, heard about them. And it wasn't until New 52, Batman 13, when Death of the Family started. Steve Megatron had written up a review of it on geekcastradio.com, our website. And after reading that, I was like, yeah, I got to find this. I read that book and my jaw was like glued to the floor. Like, just the way that book ends. And sadly, the run was anticlimactic at the end.
Yeah.
So he dies! Well, not in that book anyway. But anyway, I'm like full tilt into comics now, like I've said in every other episode of this show. What are you currently reading?
Right now, with the exception of Fantastic Four, I am primarily a DC. And the funny thing is, growing up, I'd always been a Marvel guy, and it wasn't until Blackest Night where I started kind of like, all right, maybe it's time I should start broadening my horizons and, see what the other side's all about. And ever since the New 52, it's been the majority of DC that I'm reading. Aquaman, Batman, of course, Batgirl, Swamp Thing, Wonder Woman, obviously the He-Man. I was reading Deadpool for a while, and then, it's Deadpool, so it gets a little formulaic. Uh,
They need a new creative team.
they have with Brian Posehn,
Oh, okay.
which I was, that kind of came out of nowhere. Kind of interested, but I have yet to read it. And then, yeah, for Marvel, it's just Fantastic Four. And like one of my pointed out, it seems to be absolutely impossible to get back into Spider-Man. Growing up, he was always my superhero of choice. And, I've gone back and with the majority of all the Marvel characters, I've read all the classic stuff up until about late 70s. And just, once you get into the 80s, everything just, especially with the X-Men, everything just gets so convoluted and layers on top of layers on top of layers. It's too much.
Yeah, I like you, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast. Like you, in the '90s, I started with the animation, and that made me want to go search out comics, and I had found it was like the end of the Like it was right as Spidey TAS was ending and Unlimited was beginning in '98 or '99, and I went to I believe it was a Walden Books, and I saw something called Spider-Girl, and I'm like, well, what? And it's he and Mary Jane's daughter, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'll read that. And yeah, but that's pretty much the extent for me. But now it's like, with Spider-Man, I jumped back in with Spider-Man's right now the only title I read from Marvel, and I only have one of the, like, Spider-Man and Batman. It's like, holy crap. There's like 7 Spider-Man books and there's like 10 Batman books. Not counting Batgirl, Nightwing, not counting the other, just specifically Batman. There's Batman, there's Dark Knight, there's Detective, there's Ink, there's Batman and Rob, there's like, that's 5 right there, so there's so many damn books. With Spidey, I jumped in at 698 through 700. And I am fully on board with Superior Spider-Man, because Spider-Man for me, and I've said this before on the show and just for your purposes, there are only so many stories you can tell with Peter Parker. Everybody in the last 70 years knows Peter Parker's origin, no matter how many times you vary it. Everybody knows his villains, this, and this, and this. And the whole brain swapping thing, spoilers for those that haven't read it yet, which, why haven't you? Having Ock in his body, it's something fresh. It's something new. It's something that they hadn't, to my knowledge, done before. Like, they hadn't really, like, Marvel hadn't really committed to, okay, we're not going to have Peter. Yes, there have been times where Peter Parker hasn't been there. It's been Ben Reilly, or it's been this clone or that clone or whatever. It's been, Peter, whatever. But it's one of those things where they've never actively committed to the fact of Peter Parker, no more whatsoever, and that's what they're doing with Superior Spider-Man. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's the best move Marvel could have done with the character, because there's only so many times you can have Spidey go up against the Sinister Six or the Insidious Six or whatever the hell they're calling them this week.
I had never been a fan of the whole Ultimate Universe, but I am fairly intrigued about the Miles Morales Spider-Man. I just haven't read it yet. I've been hearing good things, so hopefully down the line I'll get into it.
Yeah, the only thing as far as the Ultimates universe that I get into is the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon that's currently on Disney XD. I love that show. The new one, the newest Spider-Man cartoon, not Spectacular, the one after it.
Yeah, not really my thing.
Yeah. But yeah, like you, I'm pretty much all about DC. And speaking of DC, this is the Masters of the Universe episode. We're going to be covering the 6-issue miniseries that they released back in 2012. And we will start with issue 1 after this.
I am Adam, Prince of Eternia, defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull.
So yes, we are talking about the 2012 miniseries He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Issue 1. Basically, it's a misleading cover, because this doesn't happen until the end of the series, folks. It's an awesome cover. Don't get me wrong. The cover is He-Man in front of Castle Grayskull with sword held out, held aloft, and magic powers, magic words, and all that stuff. I like the cover. I don't know. I haven't done research on this series to see if there was variants for it, but I do like this cover. As far as the book goes, I'm loving the art. The art is done by Philip Tan and I think Roy Jose. Writing on this first issue is done by James Robinson, which I did not know. Like, when I first bought these 6 issues from my comic shop, I figured, okay, James Robinson, it'll be the same. No. Keith Giffen takes over pretty much after issue 2. But no, it's basically starts out with a dream sequence, and we get a really cool splash page on the second and third page of all the different masters, including Adora. For a second there, I thought her crest was almost Nipplegate-ish type thing there for a minute. So we have this huge battle with the Masters versus the Evil Warriors. And then, hey, Adam is a woodsman. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, it takes like two issues before you realize everything that's going down, and, what gets revealed later. Do we want to spoil it yet?
Well, no, not yet. But Adam is a wood, like, when I first brought these home, like I mentioned earlier, I read through them, but I don't think I fully grasped it. I don't think I was at the point in time where I grasped what was going on in the story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, clearly something has happened, and he's not the Adam of old. However, he's tending to a sickly father who certainly doesn't go by the name of Randor, which confused the hell out of me.
Yeah. But I didn't. I think I think honestly, once this whole woodsman thing happened, I pretty much checked out, and I started I read it the first time, and I went back and I reread it before we recorded this. But it's one of those things where I was so lost in the beginning of this. I'm like, what is going on? And then, as he wants to leave his home to find his destiny, or, the world is calling to him, you have each of these issues, each of the 5 of the 6 issues has, it's him versus each of the evil warriors, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's, it's kind of like a battle, where the first 5 rounds is him versus the lackeys, and then the 6th round, obviously, is him versus his uncle.
I found it really refreshing to finally see Adam a little more of a badass.
Oh yeah, no. I completely agree. I just wish he had a pink shirt and purple pants.
Yeah. And then the design hit a nice balance, because obviously with the old Filmation, he was just He-Man. Like, what 15-year-old looks like a beefed up 29-year-old guy? Yeah, and then with the 2000X, he looked more of a kid, but there was a definite difference between the Adam version and the He-Man. Here, he's definitely Adam, but you can see He-Man in him without the physique.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically taking on the style of the differences between the 2002 Adam and the 2000. Yeah, it's not just he is one animation model that is stock, and all you do is you rip his shirt off and rip his pants off, and he has a furry loincloth on underneath. Because that's essentially, don't get me wrong, I love the Filmation show. I'm doing a podcast, a different podcast on the Filmation show, reviewing every episode. So trust me, I know. But really, you break that transformation scene down, as cool as it is, it's basically him in a furry loincloth. That's all it is. It's kind of like Superman wearing his suit under his Clark Kent disguise, or it's the same thing.
Pretty much.
So we get this whole fight with Beastman, and it's really cool. I love the Beastman design, and Adam is shocked that Beastman even knows what his name is and who he is and whatever else. And I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's nice that they're actually writing Beastman competently.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Beastman, even in the 2002 series, wasn't that competent at all.
Well, it seemed like they wrote most of the evil warriors a little more vile and dastardly. I mean, obviously, Beastman's going to be the huge one that stands out because he's always portrayed as a weakling and someone to cower beneath Skeletor's heel.
Yes. Yeah. What do you think of Skeletor's design in this?
I like with most of the designs, I didn't have that huge of a problem. I mean, they all still represent what we know and love about the characters without deviating too far from what we know. Mm-hmm. Whereas things with like 2000X, they kind of pushed it a little too far. I mean, we still knew who they were, but this isn't what I remember. Looking at these, it's like, that's definitely He-Man, that's definitely Skeletor, that's Evil Lyn, that's Trapjaw. They look a little different, but I know who they are.
Right, yeah, exactly. And the first issue ends with Beastman going back to Skeletor, having failed to defeat Adam. And the next issue says, The Fate of Teela. The first issue, I liked it, but on the reread of it, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool, but you get the sense of something horrid is going on here. And that'll come more into play in the next issue because I lost my crap when I realized what was actually going on. Because I was like, and we'll get to it, but I was like, I don't know. What's your overall opinion on the first issue?
I mean, we don't see too much, but it definitely sets up the structure for everything else to come. So it's like, oh, give me the next issue. Give me the next issue.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're going to dive into issue 2 after this.
I guess I should take it easy on you, Adam. After all, it is your birthday.
Don't do me any favors, Teela.
So we're getting into issue 2 here, and I guess I'm just not paying attention to these covers, because it took me a while. While I was reading the actual issue, I didn't realize the cover is Trapjaw.
Really?
I just glanced at it at first. I don't know. I didn't realize.
Do you think it was a Cape Pirate or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trapjaw could be a Cape Pirate. I guess. So this one, and this is where it confuses the hell out of me, that something major has happened on Eternia. Because strange voices are coming from Castle Grayskull.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out that Skeletor has essentially taken over Grayskull. What the hell universe are we in? It just... I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it opens up to this really... Well, it's clearly Darth Vader-inspired scene where he does a forced chokehold on Beastman.
Yeah.
It's like, it's cool, but that's a little too on the nose.
Yeah, it's... It would have been... And I know they're going for a serious tone here. It would have been funnier, or it would have been less dramatic if they had done the Schwartz choke. Oh, so we've got Skeletor, who has apparently taken over Grayskull. And then we have Adam traveling in the desert by himself. And he meets these riders who basically attack him and take him back to the village.
Yeah, they introduced some really interesting beasts and races in this series.
Yeah, they do. It's very, very interesting. Now, this village is your standard middle of the desert type of village, something where I don't want to get too stereotypical or terrorist. It just reminds me of some Middle Eastern village is really what it does. And then come to find out the lord and master of this village is Kronos or Cronus or Trapjaw or Jaws from James whatever the hell. You know. The story so far, everybody knows between last issue and this issue, both Beastman and Trapjaw know who Adam is, or know Adam's name, and he's like, "Hey, how do you know my name? I have never met you before." So again, the whole thing where something is going on here, and Skeletor's whole deal is, bring him in, dead or alive. And the first thing I think of is 500,000 dead, a million alive.
Here's something really interesting I noticed about Trapjaw, at least in this iteration. Normally, every other version we see of him, he always has some sort of device on his hand. When we're introduced to him in this issue, I mean, he'll change his hands out, but for the most part, he has a human hand, and it just transforms whenever he wills it to.
So he basically has organic web shooters.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I think it's cool because what they're doing is they are combining the personalities and the traits of Cronus and Trapjaw. So he's not like, if you look at the 2002 series when that happened, he went from being Cronus to being Trapjaw. This is kind of like in the middle of that. I like it. I think it's cool. I love the art in these books. I really, really enjoy. I love Trapjaw's design. Because his jaw, in certain places it looks metal, and in other places, like when they do a side view, it almost looks like it's a beard.
Yeah, it does.
It's so strange.
Chin strap Trapjaw.
Yep. And then we've got Adam wondering why. Why did I grab that sword? I'm a woodsman. Why wouldn't I grab the axe?
As he's fighting Trapjaw, there's this one panel. I guess Trapjaw lifts this giant rock that Adam's hiding behind, and there's the shot of, I guess it's his head, his shoulder, and his arm, and there's this weird lizard bug metal thing that's crawling down his arm that we only see in the shot, and then his hand transforms into, it almost looks like a laser axe whip thing, but they don't explain what this thing on his arm is.
Yeah.
It's only seen in that panel.
Yeah, that's weird. That is so weird. I don't know. Maybe it's a Matrix thing.
Maybe.
The bug crawling into Neo's stomach. Sorry.
It still brings back creepy memories.
I know. I freaked the hell out when I saw that scene. So basically, Adam defeats Trapjaw, and with the help of bikini-clad blonde Tila, he escapes.
I am not a fan of blonde Tila. I only like her as a redhead. Every time I see her as a blonde, it just really pisses me off.
Problem I have with blonde Tila is that, okay, I know she isn't part of the royal family. She's the sorceress's daughter, and she's Man-at-Arms' daughter, and whatever else. But she is part of the royal court, at least in the cartoons and stuff like that there. And I agree with you. Redhead Tila is so much better, and I think the reason why I don't like it here is because of the fact that in some of their close-ups together, they look like they could be brother and sister.
Yeah.
That's like, and I know that's kind of the relationship that they've always had in any medium. Like, there has never been a comic or an episode of any of the cartoons saying that Adam wants to date Tila. There has never been that, because they do have that brother-sister kind of relationship with each other, but it looks too weird to me. Yeah, you're right. It's just strange. So, go ahead.
They've always made this point, especially in the Filmation cartoon, but I never thought it was conveyed well enough, that it's said that Tila has a sharp tongue and is quick to act on her in any other iteration that they've had her. But in this comic run, you definitely see that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. She has so much of a sharp tongue, and she is so ready to just go gung ho and do it. Issue 2, I like it. It's continuing the story. I like how they're introducing each of the characters. That they're taking one, like, instead of, like in issue 1, instead of having us meet Beastman and, they're basically shining a light on each individual evil warrior that they're going to use in the series, and that's what I love about it. With this one, with Trapjaw, I love it that it's just Trapjaw. It's just like having an episode of whatever the cartoon is. Doesn't matter if it's Filmation or 2002, because I'm sorry, that 90s crap does not exist to me. It's just like having an individual episode with He-Man versus those villains, and I absolutely love it. Any other thoughts you have on issue 2?
Let's see. No, that's it.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one.
What was that, Beast Man?
Nothing.
So many years, so many failures. But at last, I have the key to success.
So issue number 3, this is where Keith Giffen takes over full-time as writer. I don't know what was going on at DC Comics at the time of this release. This came out November of 2012. I'm not sure if I assume they planned to phase Robinson out and have Giffen take over, because that's what happened, but I don't think the books have suffered because of it. I think they've actually gotten better. And I don't see the story, it's so weird to me, when they'll say, ooh, a new creative team starts in X number issue. And first of all, I'm thinking, okay, well, if you're going to have a new creative team, why are you going to have a new creative team telling, sure, a new creative team can take the story in their own direction, but they still have to keep in line what is already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like if I wrote the first 20 chapters of a book and you wrote the last 10.
So, work with what we already have established.
Yeah,
within
exactly.
Those boundaries.
Yeah. So the cover for this one is He-Man once again, because he's in all of these covers, which basically ruins the reveal. It's basically He-Man with a dark figure in the sea. Oh, we didn't know who that's gonna be.
Well, starting with issue 3, they start moving over to more like a traditional painting for the covers, and I prefer these covers far more than the first 2.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love the cover. I think it's awesome. But yeah, you're right. It is very different. I mean, they're fluid between the 3 of them, but this one, the colors are more, I guess, give more pop to it.
Yeah.
So this one starts out where the last one left off, with He-Man and Tila on a boat as deck swabs. Notice I said deck, ladies and gentlemen, not the other word.
Yes.
And this is exactly the scene, that second page, with the 2 of them. Third panel, technically 4th panel down, with the 2 of them looking at each other. Blonde and blonde. That's exactly the page that I thought, oh, hey, they're twins.
Mm-hmm. Well, so far in the story, they've kind of broken the mold, and Adam is kind of seen as competent for once.
Yes.
I don't know if it has to do with the writing change, but starting in issue 3, we start seeing Adam fall into the old habits of him being really whiny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
He's pulling a Luke Skywalker.
I
want to go to Tashi Station.
Get some power.
Murders.
Fight of that size couldn't get into space. Was deep into space. Oh, man. So it then transitions back to a Skeletor-controlled Castle Grayskull where he's having dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got all of these people first of all, I have never known Castle Grayskull to host anyone, outside of, He-Man, and, there aren't just commoners inside Castle fucking Grayskull, people. There just aren't. Why does it look like in that second panel where he's sitting at the table, why does it look like there's one person, a mother and a child, and then another person?
Ooh, in, I think, the beginning of the second issue, this woman, as he's walking down the hall, she looks at him, or as he perceives as wrong, and he turns her into a statue. These are all gray.
Okay, yeah. They're not. Okay, yeah. I gotcha. So yeah, the whole time I was wondering, who the hell is he talking to? And of course, we find out that it is the sorceress of Grayskull. Now, we didn't mention earlier that Zoar, or however the hell you say the stupid bird's name, has shown up with Adam and Tila. And now we find that the sorceress is his prisoner.
And she's not looking too good.
No. She almost looks older than the chick that played her in the '87 film.
Ooh.
At least in that third panel, on the opposite page of the Batman Judge Dredd collection.
Yeah, she looks pretty battered.
She looks like, yeah.
She is crying blood.
Yeah, that's not good. I love the design on her, though. I think it's really, really cool, even though she's in immense, immense pain. And then we switch back to the boat with Adam and Tila and the captain.
Who looks like, oh god, what the hell's his name from X-Men?
Sebastian
Shaw.
Shaw, yeah. At least he didn't put the helmet on this time. Friggin' first class.
What, you all stick a coin through your forehead.
That's the only problem I have with that movie. The Magneto helmet on Kevin Bacon's head.
Yeah, but at least he switches heads and when my friends and I go to typically Marvel movies, I have a tendency to, if the opportunity arises, to lose my shit. This was one of those moments at the end where he comes in and you see him in the red, and then then the Thanos moment. Oh my god. Dead silence in the theater when this happens. Yeah. I'm in the last row. I jump out of my seat and scream bloody murder. I literally almost collapsed. And I was the one driving on night, and I told everyone, you have to give me a minute because I can't stand up right now.
So the villain for issue 3 is none other than Merman. Yes, that's right. Merman. Of course, as if we couldn't tell by the cover.
Yeah.
With He-Man on a boat. And
he gives this awesome introduction.
Yeah, he does. Where is it?
Forgive my deplorable lack of manners. I am the omnipotence, first son of the ocean lord, master of the depths, absolute monarch of the seven tides, the singular wonder and grand presence, Nauticus Aquaria, Merman the First. Charmed.
Yeah, I'm looking for the line where he says, I think it might be on the next page. I'm looking for the line where he says Prince, because both Trapjaw and Beastman have just called him Adam. Merman pretty much gives it away and says Prince Adam. And then
know this, Prince. You will die never knowing.
Yes. And then the next page, Tila gets snatched up by this sea creature, and I guess you could call it a splash page. It basically just has an asterisk, and it has a note. Asterisk, let's just call it language quite inappropriate for a comic book and let it go at that. don't get me wrong. I think that was funny. I think it was cool. But there are times when you can use a damn or hell or an oh, like, I'm obviously not F-bombs or, really, really bad curse language, but you can use, like,
Well, they do later on.
yeah. Well, it's numbered in $, but yeah. So the tentacle monster has Tila. Oh no, who's going to come to her rescue? If only there was a sword around.
There's always a sword around.
Yes. And basically, Adam versus Merman. Merman basically socks him right in the mouth. Oh boy. Very interesting battle between, because we've in the Filmation cartoon, I've seen Adam do some stuff, because I've watched the first 45 episodes of 130. I've seen him do some stuff, but I've never actually seen him do battle, and I know in the 2000X cartoon, sometimes he will, but, that's what I'm loving about this miniseries, is that it's all him. He has to be the one to do the fighting. He doesn't have a magical, mystical sword to pull out of his back at all.
That's what happens when subconsciously you know you're He-Man.
Yes. I love the close-up face shot of I almost said Merlin. Merman on the next page after the boat explodes. I think that's cool and creepy and just all kinds of evil. So the boat explodes. Battle over. I love how... I'm glad I went back and I got these after they got released, because it would have killed me to have to wait like a month. It just would. It just absolutely would. Issue 3, I like it. I liked it. I thought it was great. Merman has awesome dialogue throughout the entire issue. Adam and Tila, they're starting to get on my nerves. At least how they interact with each other. You can really, in this issue specifically so far, you can really see Tila's quick tongue.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your other thoughts on issue 3?
I thought the writing for Merman was fantastic because, again, he's another one of those evil warriors that doesn't get his due. However, I thought his actual character design wasn't as successful as the rest of them. I mean, they gave him a tail. Not a fan of that. Though he has some really cool, I don't know, like fishmen hordes, which, they don't look like him like I've seen in some of the other comics. They're all different types of weird marine life.
Right. No, I enjoyed issue 3. I thought it was really, really cool. And we are going to move on to the next one after this.
So swears Skeletor!
Alrighty, issue 4, cover. Wow.
Oh, wait.
This so far is my favorite out of the covers. Wow. You've got Skeletor's face, which looks creepy as all hell, Evelyn, and He-Man, Man-at-Arms, and Tila in the crystal orb. Wow, I love this cover.
I just love this cover artist.
Yeah, Pop Mahan, yeah. He's a great artist. He's very interesting how he does the covers, but at the same time, at the end of the podcast, we will talk about why I have issues with him. I actually ranted to a friend of mine about it the other night, but a couple weeks ago. But no, issue 4, the cover is just like... And this is why, people are like, oh, comics, those are for kids. Oh, comics, those are for geeks. This cover here, and I'm sure it is with any other, classic cover, say Batman Year One or Dark Knight Returns or whatever, any classic book, I'm sure. This cover to me it's pretty much a painting. If you took off, obviously you take off the proof of purchase, you take off the numbering and the DC, and you take off the Masters logo, and it's just beautiful. Yeah, I would love to have a print of that. That would
Oh,
be...
yes, I would. Oh.
Yeah. And so issue 4 starts off with a day at the beach in boxers and bikinis.
Yes. It's called Bikini Tila for a reason.
Yes. Her boob looks like it's just going to pop right out.
I guess Eternia has a different sense of gravity than we do on Earth.
Apparently so. So basically, they're on a raft, and she apparently told him to make oars, so that he can use to sail them to this volcanic island, because Tila doesn't want to do crap. It's like Filmation Tila all over again. Holy crap! Oh man.
Now the art's different this time around, right?
Yeah, it's very, it's different, but it's still the same. Instead of having Pop Mahan and Philip Tan on it together, because that's last issue was Philip Tan was the head artist, Roy Jose and Ray Snyder. So this issue is when Pop Mahan just comes in. And let's see, Pop Mahan. It says Pop Mahan and Philip Tan, but it lists them like pages, yeah. I guess, like different pages. So, interesting.
Well, a lot of these characters, or at least in this issue, they're very expressive in the lips.
Yeah, they are.
Especially the first couple pages.
Especially the mustache. Mustache of Doom. So we still have this whole spell thing going on here. They get to this island, and of course, like I said, the cover pretty much gives it away. It's going to be Adam and Tila versus Evelyn, who has Man-at-Arms as her sex slave.
Is it said that she's her sex slave or just a slave?
No, it's just a slave. Okay. I just threw that in there. I love Evelyn's design. I think it's really cool. It's pretty much a combination. The way I see it is, it's a combination of Filmation and 2000X.
I'm thinking, what's her name from Sleeping Beauty? The villainess.
The Evil Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maleficent. Yeah, I know. I was getting confused with Snow White and the Huntsman there for a second. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, she does kind of look like a purple version of Maleficent. And I just love how she can communicate with Skeletor through a hologram through her staff.
Yeah, she seems to be the only evil warrior who's not intimidated by him. Because the other ones, we've read each issue and it's like, they're really badass, but they only act out of fear of having to face Skeletor, because once they wind up talking with him, they're groveling and, hunched over and don't know what to do in front of him because he might kill him.
Yeah, she's standing up to the man.
Yeah, I really like this redesign of her personality, and she's, as we will later find out, she is a masochistic nutjob.
Yes, she is. And then we see Skeletor talking to a disembodied head who kind of looks like Hordak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I believe it is supposed to be Hordak, but that's just super strange to me, because at one point he takes the head and throws it across the room. He picks it up and throws it. Oh wow, that's so strange. I don't like in the panel where he's holding the head. Mm-hmm. His design, even though it's the same, it might be the lighting of the shadows, because it's basically a flash white fire background. I don't like how they did. I don't like the shading on that. I don't like how they did that, because it basically makes his body look like it's gray, when obviously he's blue. But
right,
I guess it's to basically show off the power of the light of Hordak in the background. I guess I don't know. So we've got Adam and Tila trapped, and
Man at
then
Arms who likes to sleep naked, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I assume. Throughout this, since they've been captured, she keeps asking if he is her father.
Yeah, in the issue before this, she says something like, "Oh, my father sold me into slavery,"
Yeah.
and it seems like she has some inkling of what's going on or what's happened on Eternia, but it's never fully explained. It's like, does she know what's going on or not? Is it something
Yeah.
subconscious that is pushing her?
hmm And then Evelyn's big plot is that they have to fight each other. Adam versus Tila.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, let's just escape.
Yeah, it's the cauldron, the pit of flames, and then when she gets an arrow in the shoulder,
Yeah.
and then they do what all heroes fighting each other do. They fake it.
Yeah. I love how they talk about faking it. Like that's like they're like, oh, good, just make it good enough to where they believe. It's so funny. I enjoy this issue for the fact that it's Evelyn centric, that she is one sadistic SOB, but overall, like the ending of this, it's like, hey, you know, having the heroes fight each other, yay. I don't know. What are your other thoughts on number 4?
That's about it. I mean, Evelyn was great, and then I don't know. This issue ended kind of typical comic booky.
Well, it ended that way because of the fact of the whole, cliffhanger thing. Right. Because of, yeah, it did end on a cliffhanger, and I thought that was cool because I was like ready to pick up the next issue immediately as soon as I finished reading issue 4. But it just kind of had like, if they had, and we'll get to this here in a second once we take the break, but if they had the first page of issue 5 as issue 4's final page, I think it would have been better.
Yeah, you have a good point.
I think it would have been better. So let's take a quick break. We'll get to issue 5 after this clip.
Not a music lover, huh, Ram Man? Okay, how about something with more pizzazz?
All right, issue 5, the front cover. Man, Cringer must be hungry.
Yeah.
Again.
Is this the biggest time is this the first time we've seen Battle Cat so freaking huge?
No, he was big in the 2000X cartoon.
Yeah, he was big, but he was like most of the 2000X, they were kind of slimmed down.
Yeah.
He's just, he's big.
No. Like, 2000X designs are slimmed down for the humans and the character, like those kind of... No. Battle Cat, compare 2000X Battle Cat to Filmation Battle Cat. 2000X is bigger. But, I think that is where this comes from, is the 2000X, but it's so, like... I want prints of issue 4 and issue 5's covers. I really do, because, oh my god, this cover is awesome. You've got the Sorceress, you've got the Sword, you've got... I'm calling him Cringer at this point because I don't see his... I know it's probably there, but I don't see the red. I don't see the saddle, and obviously he doesn't have the mask on, so I'm just going to call him Cringer at this point. And of course, you got He-Man. I love this cover. It's, absolutely awesome.
I've looked at this cover before, and I've liked it, but now that I'm really paying attention to it, this is phenomenal.
Yeah, it just is. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Just that shot of the sorcerer's face with the sword right between her eyes, centered the whole image. Oh.
Yeah, it's just great. It's just absolutely amazing. And what I love what they did with this is they took... if you look at any of the other ones, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is huge on all of the covers on the front, because that's the title of the book. You got to have the title of the book. And we'll talk about this with issue 6, but with the other previous 4 issues, they've basically drawn around the logo. This one, they shrink the logo and put it up in the right-hand corner. I love that. I think that's amazing. I think that's great. Because obviously you don't want the logo to envelope the sword in her face. That's just ingenious how they put that together. Absolutely love it. So this one starts off with Adam going over and going to be set on fire. Or is he? I will say so far, and I will say this at the end of the podcast, issues 5 and 6 are my favorite out of the 6-issue miniseries. Because we're finally getting to the point of what the hell is going on here. So they have the fight. They both fall down the rabbit hole, I guess you could say. You have Men-at-Arms kind of coming to here and there and basically talking back to Evelyn. I like that. I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting how all these characters are trying to remember stuff. Obviously, the evil warriors already know, but all the good guys are trying to remember stuff. And I just love how it looks seeing the two of them in a panel shot. I think that's just amazing. And then there's this long, winding staircase.
Very long.
Yeah, the staircase goes on for days. And sadly, I believe Skeletor kills the sorceress. Or
we find out later.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, because I just now realized, going back reading this, that this is the lead-in to what happens later. Like, yeah, I'll
tell you what happens later.
Yeah, I'll say that at the end of the show. But basically, he kills her and just leaves her there on these panels. And then, go ahead.
Even after Adam and Teela escape, Evelyn has to report back to Skeletor, and again, unlike the other evil warriors who are cowering in fear of him, she's like, hey, I failed. You know what? Burn in hell anyway. Why don't you do it yourself?
Yeah. The next panel, after the whole burn in hell thing, when they're going down the staircase, and they get to the Great Seal, that's just what I'm calling it, because that's, a
giant lion.
Well, it looks like Teela is starring in a rap video, because her panties are pretty much almost falling off her ass. And it doesn't even look like she has a bra on. I can see the bra strap on that. Like, it almost looks like she's naked.
Actually, we skipped one really crucial point of the story. Skeletor, incredibly pissed off, runs into the dungeon where Sorceress is being kept, and he's like, why am I still failing? And it turns out we know why he's failing, and why Adam and Teela kind of know what's going on, because the sorceress, she has not talked up until this point because she's been hiding her conscience in Skeletor's memory.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's an interesting way to do it.
And which I did not hide in plain sight. I was there if you knew where to look. Where a pleasant memory. You so rarely revisit such moments.
Yeah, a pleasant memory would have been before he got his face burned off. Yeah. So, like I said, we've got pretty much a naked Teela and shirtless Adam at the Great Seal.
What's behind the seal?
What's behind the seal is the sword. Finally.
You'd think they'd have a better hiding spot for this.
Well, it is at the end of a very, very long staircase.
And I would think, if the sorceress is going to hide in Skeletor's memory, they could at least hide this somewhere equally as competent. Another dimension, maybe someone else's memories.
Yeah, I just love how it combines 1992 Aladdin's lamp and the sword and the stone. Because if you look at it, at that at that panel after they get in, and it's the sword in the distance. It's obviously it's a sword in the stone thing, but it also looks like that giant staircase, or it kind of looks like the whole thing from Aladdin, where he had to, go all the way up to the top and basically get the lamp. Um, I know people know how to draw swords and stuff, but I never thought in my wildest dreams. Now, keep in mind, I have not read any of the old, like the original comics, like the mini comics. Like this was my first introduction to Masters of the Universe in comic form. I just love how they're able to replicate all these designs, like the sword, Skeletor's Havoc staff. I just love how they're able to keep those so classic while still allowing for character design to be slightly different.
It's pretty much what they did with Thundercats. They changed everything but the sword. The sword was changed a little bit, but...
Yeah. So Adam is going to basically go for the sword, except... Uh-oh. Happy Kitty.
Guarding it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And he punches him right in the nose. That's not supposed to work.
Last time I punched a cat in the nose, it didn't go chud.
Yeah, no. Not at all. Oh, wow. Of course, the next panel is Battle Cat versus He-Man, or not He-Man, I'm sorry. Adam and Teela. And then after that, basically Man-at-Arms and everybody else comes in. And I assume he's there to help them. I assume he's made up his mind and he's going to help them because it doesn't look like they're going to be able to go back to Evil Inn. Adam makes a break for the sword while Cringer is pretty much going to paw his head off. That would hurt.
I don't know where Adam gets the courage to fight this giant fucking cat.
Yeah. But again, it's one of those things where, at least in my mind, because Adam deep down knows something is wrong, and it's that kind of thing.
The last panel, before the page where Man-at-Arms comes in, there's that shot of Adam pulling on the tufts of hair on Cringer's head, and he's got one squinted eye and the other one's bugged out and his mouth is open. It's a very derpy face.
Yeah, it is. And I love how he sputters, "Stupid way to die." Mauled by cat. And then we have the power explodes. The power of Grayskull, I have the power. And He-Man is revealed. I love the final page in this. I love how they did this art. This art is so awesome. How they did all the villains. Well, they did Man-at-Arms and Teela. All the villains. And all the henchmen, I should say. His father.
Who was brown hair again.
Yeah, it was brown hair again. And then Skeletor at the end. "Come to me and bring you fools with you. Last time I took your memories. This time I will take your lives."
That is an awesome shot.
This is a damn awesome shot of Skeletor, and it says, "Next issue, He-Man. What more needs to be said?"
The only thing I question is that with these shots of the evil warriors, how do they know that the power sword has just been reached? There's no blast in the background that they can see.
Right, but think of it as a wave. Think of it as a film dissolve. Like, you know how trying to think what would be a good example. I'm trying to think what is a damn good example of this. There's if someone casts a spell on something that's evil, and then someone writes it, there's somehow
like a tremor in the force.
Yeah, pretty much. But no. I'm trying to think. There's several cartoons that do this, where something is wrong, throughout the entire universe. And then when it gets righted, there's a reversal. It's kind of like stuff goes. I don't know how to explain it, but I do agree with you. It's kind of weird how they all know. But you would think that they would have all known that the plan has been foiled because they all knew the plan in the beginning. Granted, brown-haired Randor-looking dude might not know, but the villains, they should have all known as soon as he grabs the sword. And that was the whole point of Skeletor wanting him dead. So he couldn't go get the sword. Because Skeletor's opinion is the sword is what has the power. And we'll find out next. That's not the case. Issue 5, thoughts?
Just that last panel with Skeletor. It's, bring it!
Yep. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get there.
I need you to accompany me to Castle Grayskull immediately.
Castle Grayskull? That broken down?
You'll understand when we get there. Quickly!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the climax of the story. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, number 6. I feel like such a damn fool. You know exactly where I'm going with this. I feel like such a damn fool because it took Mr. Ados Baron here to point out to me that the cover is a mural. I did not put it because I'm used to fold-out covers or something like that. I'm not used to I'm used to ads being on the back of comic books. I'm not used to it being a mural. And oh my god, they really saved the best for last. You've got if you're opening up the book and not looking at what's in the actual book, but you're looking at the cover, you've got Evelyn, Beastman, Triclops, Trapjaw, Grayskull, the Sorceress, and He-Man versus Skeletor. And somebody needs to find me this digitally.
Oh god, yes.
No. I want a JPG of this entire cover, not just the one page, not just the other. I want some. I need to find this damn image because, holy crap, I want this on my desktop as my wallpaper because this is just so friggin' cool. And it even has Burger King Randor at the upper right corner.
Well, it looks like they took or I think with the exception of maybe Evil Lyn, they took the Evil Warriors and made them a little more classic looking on this cover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Trapjaw still has that really pronounced spiky lower jaw, but Triclops almost, with the exception of a couple extra designs, he almost looks exactly like the old figure.
Yeah. I would say with the exception of his eyeball, because his eyeball kind of reminds me of in 2000X, he had blue, red, and yellow. The three eyes were different colors for the different powers that he had in the 2000X cartoon. But no, as this miniseries has gone on, the covers just keep getting better and better and better. My favorites are 1, 4, 5, and 6. 1 just because it's that classic, He-Man pose in front of Grayskull. 4 because it's Evelyn and Skeletor. 5 because of its basically Cringer wanting to chomp on He-Man. And then 6 obviously because of this giant battle. And it's just absolutely amazing.
I want to print this so bad.
Yeah. Somebody needs to, right now, stop listening to this podcast, go find us, and I'm actually going to search for this after we're done here. I'm going to do a Google search and see if this is out there somewhere. I want a JPG of this entire cover. I don't just want the one page, because, like I said before, I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out to me at all, but it's absolutely amazing.
Well, with it unfolded, and if you look to the direct left of Beastman, there's what it looks like somebody else.
Yeah.
And I see the top of a mouth and a snake tongue. What I presume it's a snake tongue.
Above Beastman, or
like if you look.
Oh yeah, no. Right. Like right by Trapjaw's weapon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Yeah, oh wow, that could have been Cobra Khan. Yeah, you're right. Or it could have been Kiss or whoever. Tongue Lash or somebody. So basically, the story picks up where we last left off, and apparently Evelyn will not have her mood further darkened by bad manners. She's really power trippy in this.
Yeah, especially this one scene.
Yeah, that power is going to her head right there. And of course, the title of this one, The Power. He-Man has arrived. The spell has been broken. And again, for the second time, Skeletor throws the pumpkin Hordak head. He throws it out the window.
Yeah, it looks considerably different this time. It doesn't really look like Hordak.
No, it does. It looks like a Hordak-style jack-o'-lantern without the Hordak bits.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you took a figure and put it in translucent red.
Ugh.
Well, talk about that later. So this giant, battle is upon us, and Skeletor and his evil warriors are planning, and the Masters and their forces are planning, and yes,
looking like right after he throws the head out the window, and Beastman is bowing behind him as he walks away. Is he wearing pants?
Is who wearing pants? Skeletor or Beastman?
Skeletor.
Let me look. When he's bowing and he walks away.
He's got Eternian bell bottoms or something.
Yeah!
I'm not walking away, I'm strutting!
Why is Skeletor wearing pants? Holy crap, you're right. It looks so strange.
Some say they make my ass look good.
Oh my god. Wow, that's crazy. So you have all this battle plan, and basically, I'm going with He-Man on this because it makes sense. You don't take the entire army to Skeletor because that's what he's going to expect. You go it alone, and if you need the entire army, you send the bird after him. But apparently, Battle Cat or Cringer or whatever, because they don't I don't think do they actively state which personality he is?
No.
Yeah, they don't. They just giant green tiger.
The shot of him talking to the other heroic warriors, aside from He-Man and Teela, it looks like they've all remained true to their original designs. You have a Roboto in the background. You definitely have the old King Randor, Mossman. Ram Man looks almost exactly the same.
Yep. Yeah, the only difference between, did this happen before or after the Burger King toy came out? Because, you got Chief Furry Pants in here, too.
Mm-hmm.
Carnivorous or Carnivus or whatever his name is. The Randor looks just like the original friggin' Classics toy that they put out he's got the damn staff, and it looks just like the freaking original King Randor Masters Classics toy they put out before they put out the actual Filmation version. I still hate the Burger King Randor design. I just can't take it. I just can't take it. But you're right. The rest of them pretty much have. Yeah, Man-at-Arms has the classic helmet with the mustache. Before that, there was another scene where he had the visor from 2000X. I think it was last issue. At one point, I did see him with the battle mask visor from 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they're doing all these different homages. I think that's great. I think it's great using the different designs. It doesn't take away from the story, and it doesn't take away from the art at all. And hey, why is Shredder in this book? Why is Shredder at Castle Grayskull? On the page opposite the Arrow ad, when it shows Castle Grayskull, on the right, at the very top panel, there's a guy carrying something that he's got some helmet and mask on, looks just like Shredder.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got Skeletor and Evil Ed bickering like an old married couple. Oh, wait, that happened in the BIOS. Or did it? I forget. I don't pay attention to that toy company crap.
I love this shot of Beastman, Skeletor, and Evelyn on the balcony looking over, waiting, just waiting for this battle. You can almost feel it. It's palpable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's amazing. The one where he's like, "It is Skeletor. He seeks the other wretched imp and will is beyond his reach. So be it. It ends today." I love the ends today like insert panel.
Mm-hmm.
His face just never looked scarier. it just hasn't, and it's awesome. And we have a full out splash page of the battle. Battle Cat has his mask, and
Tila's on a unicorn.
wait, where? Oh my! No, that's not a unicorn. Yes, it is. Holy crap! I thought it was a gazelle with a horn on. What the hell, people? Come on!
With all the homages that they've been doing this, I would have expected maybe like Stridor or something like that.
Well, yeah, Stridor. But see, that's the thing. Like in the dream sequence in the very first issue that we talked about today, Adora / She-Ra is there. So why isn't she there now?
I took that as being Tila.
No, let me go back really quick and look at that first issue.
She definitely has like the Tila bra.
Adam, Skeletor, but she's. I could have sworn she was somewhere. Yeah, you're probably right. But why would she be holding the sword of protect? See, that's what threw me for a loop here, because you've got He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Stratos, Sorceress, and you've got all the evil warriors that are pictured. Oh man, I didn't even see Panther in the dream sequence.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I love that. Skeletor's riding him. I didn't even notice that originally. But no, she's holding the sword of protection. That's why I thought it was She-Ra.
I didn't take that as a sword of protection. I mean,
it's got a jewel in it.
Yeah, well, there's some sort of circular design on it. I mean, if the Sword of He, it looks exactly like its original counterpart, I would expect the Sword of Protection to look exactly the same.
Yeah, that's true. So back to issue 6 here. We have this giant battle. Tila riding a Wind of Swift. And
there's a very bloody panel where it's just almost very. I mean, there is blood spraying towards her face, but they almost bring beauty to the flow of the blood as she's running, or just the action of her cutting through the scene.
Yeah.
Very anime-like.
Oh yeah, it's got somewhat of an anime influence. I can tell that in certain bits of it, but yeah. And then we have the whole more battle between Skeletor and He-Man. I love that shot opposite the Katana ad where it's Skeletor.
Now we find what happens to Sorceress.
She's
beheaded.
Yeah, she's beheaded, but she's also bedeaded.
Yeah.
So she's dead. And the battle continues, rages on, and He-Man and Skeletor have this whole argument of whether it's the sword or whether it's they have this whole thing of He-Man has the power and the sword is the actual weapon of the power. And he even says, "I am the power."
He just channels it through the sword.
Yeah, he just channels it through the sword. He basically strikes a. Oh my god! Yeah, that's a beautiful bloody image of Skeletor. I know that sounds macabre that I say that, but look at that panel.
He breaks the side of his jaw off.
I know. It's just amazing. And Tila asks, "Is he dead?" He-Man says, I'm going to say yes.
Liar.
I don't like He-Man holding the Havoc staff. That's a little strange.
Yeah.
But interesting. So, yeah, He-Man continues to hold the Havoc staff. Skeletor basically has no mouth. He's crawling for his life.
The bottom of this pit.
Yeah, at the bottomless pit, where we see the Pumpkinhead Hordak again.
What we didn't mention. Let me go back to the right page, where the Masters, or we'll call them the Masters, have met up with each other in that pub. Let me find it.
Oh, yeah. Is this before the battle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Teela says, I'd say it's too dangerous. What if he puts another whammy on you? And then He-Man goes, Orko's not here to betray us this time.
Yeah, what the hell? I read that and I was like, wait, what? Orko betrayed them? Mm-hmm. And again, folks, you got to remember, at least for me, the only Orkos I know are Filmation and 2002, and I really disliked the 2002 Orko. It's one of the characters I do not care for from that series. Probably the only character I don't really care for from that series. But yeah, you're right. It's like, what the hell is going on? Orko betrayed them? How the hell did that happen?
They don't explain.
Hopefully it'll come up. So the battle pretty much ends. Skeletor looks like he's alive. Oh, no. Hordak basically resurrects him or does something with him.
The head talks to him, and Skeletor's crawling and almost begging, and the skull says as they phase out of the scene, and it is time to you come to know me as more than a minion. And he's been transported to this scene of, I guess it's Eternia?
No, it's got to be Despondos. Okay. It's got to be Etheria or something.
We have this shot overlooking this throne that's being held, or at some point held up by these lava cat beast things.
Yeah.
And we see this robed blue hand, which one would assume is Orko. And I took it as the skull was Orko all along, not Hordak.
Really?
At first, yeah, I obviously thought it was Hordak, and then until we get to this.
No, Skeletor returning. As much as I desire, it is not yet time for you to die. Not that your cursed nephew has it within him to see you dead. But there are others. The Tila wench comes to mind, who would gut you in an instant with little thought given to the consequences. And it is always about consequences, no. Thus, yeah, this is really weird. Like, why it... Because the first thing on this page after I read it that I saw was, to be continued, ? What do you think, at the end, at the very bottom. And I'm thinking, oh, so... At first, when I first read it, I'm thinking, oh, so this is Hordak, and this is setting up the events of what happened in the new ongoing that's currently going on, which we'll talk about at the end of the podcast. But yeah, no, you're right. It was Orko. Why? I don't get it. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's great. It's kind of crappy that they left us on a cliffhanger, but overall, I really enjoyed the miniseries. I think it was very well done. Even with the art style change, I don't think the writing changed that much because, let's face it, James Robinson was really only on the first issue. And then, well, he was on the first and second issue, and then Keith Giffen had taken over. After that, I don't know. Your overall thoughts for issue 6?
I love that fight scene.
Yeah.
In some instances, it felt a little short, but just that shot where his jaw gets punched right off.
Yeah, it was so amazing, so beautiful. We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some other Masters comic stuff, and then we'll probably close the show out after that. So we'll be back after that.
By the power of Grayskull, jaw bridge. Open!
Yes, that's right. We have traveled to Eternia to enter Castle Grayskull. Join Optimus Solo and TFG1Mike as they find themselves telling Tales of Eternia. We cover all things He-Man in this 45-episode-long podcast. You can find us on iTunes and www.geekassradio.com. By the power of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Coming to Grand Rapids, Michigan on September 21st and 22nd is GrandCon Gaming and Comics Convention, presented by Celebration Cinemas. Join us in playing or chatting it up with fellow enthusiasts in a community that understands your passions. Get lost in the adventure of your favorite role-playing game. Admire costumes and art from vendors and attendees. Meet the creators behind your favorite mainstream and independent games and comic books. Check out unpublished games and sneak peek at things to come. You can get all this and more at GrandCon. For more information, please visit www.grand-con.com.
He-Man! Always He-Man!
All right, folks, we are back, and we are going to give final thoughts on the miniseries, as well as talk about some other He-Man comic-related stuff. After rereading it a second time and really giving it, like I said earlier in this episode, when I first saw Adam as a woodsman, I'm like, done. I just don't even. And I pretty much skimmed every other book after that. I didn't actually read it the first time around when I first bought them, because I was like, Adam as a woodsman? No. The second time around, before we recorded this, I read all 6 issues. I read them for the story. I love the art. I think it's great. I think it's an amazing story. Now that you point out that that's Orko, that possibly could be, I'm like flabbergasted, and I want to know what are they doing. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think, as I said earlier, issues 1 through 3 are pretty much all set up. Even though it's awesome seeing Adam face the villains, I just by issue 4, I was like, okay. Let's get on with this. Issue 5 and 6 are my favorite out of the entire series. What about you? What are your final thoughts?
Like you, I love the whole thing. Though the one aspect that's like burning in the back of my head is that they don't explain how all of this got set up in the first place.
Right.
I mean, up until issue 6, we're led to believe this was a miniseries.
Yes.
And it's going to continue with the ongoing, but so far in the ongoing, they haven't explained how all of this started.
Now, the ongoing, it seems to me that it's a whole new continuity. It doesn't even seem like, yes, I know it's the same writer and the same artist because it's Keith Giffen and Pop Mahan doing the ongoing, but the ongoing starts with, I believe, Skeletor dead. And the Sorceress dead, and Hordak is going to invade Eternia.
Yeah, I thought it was just a continuation of this.
See, I don't. After reading this and seeing and actually looking and paying attention to that final page on issue 6 of the miniseries, I don't think so. Because as you pointed out, that's a blue hand. That's not a white hand, or that's not Hordak's hand. It's just not. I don't know. I originally thought that was what it was going to be. It was the ongoing was going to be a continuation of this, but it seems that it's a whole new ball game.
Okay.
I'm loving the ongoing.
Have you read the second issue yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have not yet got it. I'll probably buy it tomorrow.
God, what's wrong with you?
I haven't been by my comic shop yet.
I'll talk to you about it off air if you really want to read it today without having to go to your comic shop.
No, I'm definitely going to buy it. Don't ruin it.
No, I know, but so yeah. All right, the other thing we're going to talk about here, because I have to talk about this a couple of weeks ago, because this will air a couple of weeks from when we're actually recording it. As we're recording it, the other night, an interview came out on He-Man.org with Pop Mahan, the artist from the new ongoing and the original miniseries. I have actively avoided any kind of spoilers with the ongoing. I've avoided any kind of interviews. I've only seen like the general vague answers like Keith Giffen is given for the writing. I generally don't read artist interviews because I can look at the art and I can say whether I like it or I don't. I don't need to know what the artist's intentions were. I can see what the intentions were on the page. So I generally don't read comic book artist interviews. I don't read animation, animator interviews. I just don't. But I figured, okay, the ongoing's going on. I'll read this interview. Pop Mahan is basically a yes or a no man. Apparently, he is tied to some superficial extreme DNA, or not DNA. The crap. What the hell's the name of that stupid thing? The disclosure stuff. Not NDA. That's what it is. Non-disclosure agreement. Because this interview on He-Man.org is just crazy. It just is. His answers are nuts. Basically, he says that, like, the person asks him, what thought process did you go through when redesigning some of the characters? A redesign of a character is tricky. The new design should make some sense, capture the essence of the character, and is visually pleasing and exciting. After some good research, I usually pick out some characteristics that speak to me and emphasize and use it as a base where the design wants to naturally go. It's organic in approach, but one I find very pleasing and satisfying. With MOTU, I usually do a few versions and send it out to Mattel and get a cool redraw from one of their supremely talented designers or artists that ties up where I was trying to go with the design. So basically, and okay, don't get me wrong, DC Comics is publishing this, but it's basically Mattel's property. It's basically a license deal, okay? He's basically saying he draws one thing, sends it to Mattel, and they give him what they want. It's basically like, I'm a puppet. Just watch Season 5, episode of Angel, Smile Time. Basically, somebody's got their hand up his back. This is why I don't like reading some interviews. There was another question in here about Adora. Where's the Adora question? BDC.
Skimpy Tila.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It sounds like a Toy Guru answer.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Here it is. With Despara, we're seeing a side of the character. Here it is. What are your thoughts on Despara/Adora? From what I understand, Mattel provided the idea for the character's new design. Did you bring anything to the table in terms of the design? I love Adora's new look. This is his answer. I love Adora's new look, but I wasn't involved with her design. You're a fucking artist. How can you not be involved in the design? Did they just send you a fucking sketch and say to you, draw this? Is that really all? So basically, to quote Chasing Amy, you're a fucking tracer. That's all you are. Seriously? I'm loving the story. I love Keith Giffen's writing. We're only 2 issues into the ongoing. I absolutely love the ongoing so far. But I will never, ever read an interview from this artist ever again, because the dude is just a yes man or a no man. Whatever, non-disclosure, as far as non-disclosures can go, as far as he'll go,
I don't think it's so much his fault, but it's Mattel's, because it's their big boys' property of the last 30 years, and they want their hands in the pot as much as they can.
But that's fine. But his answers to the questions, it seems like they should have. I don't know. Like I agree with you. It's Mattel's property, and they licensed it to DC for a comic. Because has Mattel always been with DC with the licensing for the comics?
No. Didn't they have Star Comics? That was Marvel.
Okay. What I don't understand is why not I know there's going to be more money, and Mattel doesn't want to bleed any money. Why not have... Don't get me wrong, I love the writing, I love all this stuff. I love the ongoing, I love that DC is doing it. But why not Mattel have their own company for... it's like... I don't know, it just seems like a whole big shill to me, and it just is. And as far as the armor, oh my god, people are up in arms about, oh, He-Man has new armor design. You know what that's for. They're going to make a freaking toy out of it eventually. Yeah. I mean, there was a question online somewhere about, oh, why is He-Man getting more clothes and Teela is essentially going to be naked half the time? Because that's the way that they want to go, I guess. I don't know. Overall, miniseries, loved it. I'm loving the ongoing. Absolutely awesome. I'm dying waiting for even though I read a bunch of other comics every month I am dying to read the next ongoing issue. It is that damn good. We're only 2 issues in, and the story is so powerful. It's so amazing and so awesome. If you grew up like us on Filmation, or if you've seen the 2002 cartoon, you can see influences of that in this book, of both of those. But other than that, the story is something we've never had before, and it's absolutely amazing.
What I love about this is that they're finally allowing the story to advance.
Yes.
Filmation, it was kind of a one-trick pony. Then you had New Adventures. 2002, it was a reimagining of the original, but it just kind of retold the same thing in a different way. I want more development. I don't want the same stories over and over again.
No, I agree. Well, if Cartoon Network hadn't shit the bed with it, it would have had a season 3. We would have had all that cool stuff come in. But
it's Cartoon Network.
Yeah, it's Cartoon Network. All right, so you got anything you want to promote, Das, before we close out?
I started doing toy reviews finally for ToyWorldOrder.com, in addition to the segment that I am part of the Dave and Duvall's Toys and Collectible podcast.
Yes. You also do their intros.
Yeah. Every time I listen back to that now, it's kind of grating on my ears because at least in my opinion, I sound a little better doing that. It's like, oh, damn it. I'll probably wind up just re-recording it and seeing if Jason will swap it out.
Yeah. But yes, we will be covering more once the ongoing really gets going. As you know, listeners of the Pull Bag, we will record a podcast on 4 issues of whatever book it is, or like with Superior Spider-Man, we record every 4 issues for that. So with the ongoing, we'll record every 4 issues. I don't know if it's going to be Dawson and I doing the ongoing, or if it's going to be myself and someone else doing the ongoing. We haven't really plotted that out yet, but there will be more He-Man comic coverage in the future here on the Pull Bag. Do you have a Twitter or anything people might want to contact you with or anything like that? Or you don't have Twitter, do you?
I'm not a Twitter guy. I just have my Facebook. Just search ADOS Baron. Then my good friend Sven Kingsley, he has his own Facebook. If you're into mustachioed entertainers with pompadours, Swedish pompadours, then go check it out. We just shot a promo for his appearance at the Philadelphia Comic Con. That should be in 2 weeks. So you can always look up YouTube, Das Baron channel, and I have some of that stuff there.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right, that's going to do it for this week's Pull Bag. Join us next week when there's going to be some epic discussions going on. I'll just leave it at that. Keep reading those comics.
I think this is where I make my exit.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.